ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, let's read together the invocation verses, both the Sanskrit and the English. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devyam sarasvatim visyam tato jaya mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. My question is, when you sing this verse, when you sing the Sanskrit, are you really thinking about Narayan? Are you thinking about Narayan Rishi? Are you thinking of Mother Saraswati? We should start to not just do it ritualistically, right? We should actually start to think about these personalities and ask them for help, especially when we're saying Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, prayer to the Lord to work within our heart. Okay, Nasta Prayashava Breshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gandhimarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshuran Mityamyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Nama. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Jai. So we're reading from Canto 3, chapter 23. We'll go through verses 1 through 11, focusing on verse 7. And the topic for today is the benefits of serving a Vaishnav. So we just read about, yesterday, we read about that Svayambhuva Manu has come back to his house, and we understood about the atmosphere for spiritual life, what that atmosphere of spiritual life, conducive atmosphere for spiritual life. And today we go back to Kardama Muni and Devahuti, who have just gone to their house, and we're going to learn about their relationship. So we mentioned that the topic is about serving a Vaishnav, and in particularly we hear a lot about in these verses about the focus on a husband and wife, the service of between these two Vaishnavas. And I was thinking this morning, I was thinking, man, in December 10th, I'm actually going to be in India at that time, but on December 10th, my wife and I will be married for 20 years. Yeah. And the funny part is I was thinking the men and women's psychology, and I was like, man, I am not the qualified person to talk about this. So even after 20 years of a relationship with my wife, which I'm not complaining about, I hope that that's not the what I'm giving out in being received or perceived. I'm just saying that it's very deep, because when we start to listen to what Srila Prabhupada is talking about, the service of a Vaishnav, there's so much great benefits in serving that relationship. Anyways, I won't get into it. We'll actually get into it in here. So the benefits of serving a Vaishnav. So afterwards, when we maybe have question and answer time, maybe we can get some reflections from yourself, from all of you, about what you understand in serving the Vaishnavas. Okay, number 7. I don't have my glasses anymore, but that's okay. We're at 323.7. Okay. You Ye me sadar adi pujam tamaham bhajami. Ye me savadharma nitya. Matter of fact, you know what? I keep on understanding that my Sanskrit is needs some work. So I'm thinking instead of me, no, you know what? Can you please give me the meter? Thank you, Prabhu. Ye me savdharma nitratasya tapa samadhi. Ya me savdharma nitratasya tapa samadhi. Vidya Atma Yoga Vitata Bhagava Prasada. Vidyatma Yoga Vijita Bhagava Prasada. Tan eva te maranushavana vaurodhana. Ooh. Taneva te madanusheva navradudhan. Drishtim prapasya vitarami abhaya asokyan. Dristim prapasya vitarami abhyan asokan. Ye me savdharma nitasha tapasamadhi. Vidyatma yoga vichita bhagava prasada. Taneva te madanusavanaya vraduhan. Dristim prapasya vitarami apyayan asokyan. Please chant. Ye me savdharma nitatasya tapa samadhi. Vidyatma yoga vichita bhagava prasada. Taneva te madhanusavanana vradudhan. Dristim prapasya vitrami abhayana sokyan. Anybody else? Ye me savdharma nitatasya tapasamadhi. Vidyatam yoga vichita bhagava prasada. Taneva te madhanuseva naya vradudhan. Dristam prapasya vitarami abhayanoskan. Is there any words in here we recognize? Jose, what's one? No, it's okay. Go ahead. Dharma. Okay, we've got Dharma. What's Dharma mean? Nature? Or nature? Sva Dharma. Oh, huh? The original nature? You know, the nature? Jose, do you see a word in here that you recognize? Tapa. What's tapa? Yeah, right? Brahma. The first two syllables you hear, tapa. tapas, austerities. Darnell, you see any words in here you recognize? Samadhi. What is samadhi? Trance, right? We see yoga, Bhagavat Prasada. Seeing this when? Yeah, in the morning, right? In Mangala Arti. Okay, let's go to word by word and see what we come up with. This all, please do this together. Yea, those which may by me, svadharma, own religious life, nirtasya, fully occupied with, tapya, in austerities, samadhi, in meditation, vidya, in Krishna consciousness, atma yoga, by fixing the mind, vidyaha, achieved, bhagavat prasada, the blessing of the Lord, tan, them, eva, even, te, by you, mat, to me, by devotional service, avradunan, obtain, dristim, transcendental vision, parpasya, just see, vitrami, I am giving, abayan, which free from fear, asokyan, which are free from lamentation. Somebody please read the translation.
Kardama Muni continued, I have achieved the blessings of the Lord in discharging my own religious life of austerity, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you are engaged in my service. Now just look at them. I am giving you the transcendental vision to see how nice they are.
Okay, before we go to the purport, what can we understand in this translation? Kardama Muni is talking about himself and he's talking about Devahuti. So first, let's say, what is Kardama Muni establishing in himself? So Drissa Prabhu is saying that he's received blessings by his own works. Anybody else? So we're focusing on what is he establishing, that this is who I am, this is my position. I think Drissa summed it up nicely, right? He's saying that I've gotten blessings from Lord because of my works, particularly in austerities, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. Okay, and what is he saying about Devahuti? Saying, okay, here's you. What is he saying about Devahuti? Yes. Okay, so he's saying that you can understand from this that she's serving him, and so he's going to bless her. Anything else? Transcendental vision. That's the gift that he's going to give, right? And he says that although you have not yet experienced these achievements. Okay, let's go to the purport. First paragraph, please.
Report. Devahuti engaged only in the service of Kardama Muni. She was not supposed to be so advanced in austerity, ecstasy, meditation, or Krishna consciousness, but imperceptibly she was sharing her husband's achievements, which she could neither see nor experience. Automatically she achieved these graces of the Lord.
Okay, what did she achieve? The graces of the Lord. And in this next paragraph, we're going to hear about those wonderful graces.
What are the graces of the Lord? It is stated here that the graces of the Lord are abhaya, free from fearfulness. In the material world, if someone accumulates $1 million, he is always full of fear, because he is always thinking, what if the money is lost? But the benediction of the Lord, Bhagavat Prasada, is never lost, never to be lost. It is simply to be enjoyed. There is no question of loss. One simply gains and enjoys gaining. Bhagavad Gita also confirms this. When one achieves the grace of the Lord, the result is the sarva dukkha cunning. All distresses are destroyed. When situated in the transcendental position, one is freed from the two kinds of material diseases, hankering and lamentation. This is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita. After a devotional life begins, we can achieve the full results of love of Godhead. Love of Krishna is the highest perfection of the Bhagavad Prasada, or divine mercy. This transcendental achievement is so greatly valuable that no material happiness can compare to it. Prabhupada Saraswati said that if one achieves the grace of the Lord Chaitanya, he becomes so great that he does not care a fig or fig even for the demons. He thinks of monism as hellish, and for him, the perfection of controlling the senses is easy as anything. Heavenly pleasures become heavenly pleasures become to him no more than stories. Actually, there is no comparison between material happiness and transcendental happiness.
Okay, before we go to this last paragraph, the first paragraph, Srila Prabhupada is establishing that by serving the devotee, the Vaishnava, one gets the grace of the Lord. In this next paragraph, he says, what is grace? And then he starts to describe what is that grace that's been given by the Lord. So, who recognize some of the grace, what kind of grace that is being given to the devotee who's serving the Vaishnava? Fearlessness, right? I was watching this, it was a talk, a conference, and the speaker he said, men, raise your hand in the last 2 weeks that you felt your life threatened. And this is thousands of people, like thousands of people. A few men raise their hand. He says, okay, ladies, raise your hand if the last couple weeks you felt like at some point in time that your life was threatened. And like 80-90% of the women raise their hand. This world, this material world is such a disaster that there's fear around every bin, Am I saying that there's no fear for men? No, I'm just saying that there's these different kinds of fears, right? In particular for the females, just walking to your car can be fearful. You can think of your life. My wife has told me several times just in Dallas, one time she was like, I went to the 7-Eleven to pick something, and some guy just started following around in the 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven's like no bigger than this temple room, and this guy's just following around. Some guy followed her after work to her car once and stuff like that. But this fearfulness is right around the bend, and so by the grace of the Lord, one can become fearless. Fearfulness can be free from fearful. Being free from fear. So what do you think the benefits of being free from fear would be? It'd be peaceful, right? You imagine not being free from fear, how peaceful you'd be? It's Srila Prabhupada, when he mentions the animal, the 4 propensities of the animals: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But he says defending, he uses a different word for defending sometimes. What does he call it? Fearing. He says fearing sometimes. Our basic instinct for defensiveness is out of a fear that I don't have enough, or I've got to protect my accumulation. But when we have the grace of the Lord, we become fearfulness. What else is in here that the grace of the Lord will give? Maybe, Jose, before you fall asleep, maybe you can give us an example of in this translation, or excuse me, purport of another grace of the Lord.
The
Yeah, go up to the top of kind of the second one. Let's see if we can help Jose. Here, what do you see here? Okay. Yeah, because wasn't. Oh, just a second. Okay, right there. There's a Sanskrit word, sarvadukani. What does that do?
All distresses are destroyed.
All distresses are destroyed. This is like kind of part of destroying all fearness, right? That all distresses are destroyed. So we say of this material world, we say happiness and distress, right? And the devotee is what to those, Jose? Equal posed, right? He's happy. He's happy in happiness, and he's happy in distress. So this is quite a benediction or a grace of the Lord. Okay, is there any other benefit of the grace of the Lord in this paragraph? Krista.
Prabhupada talked about how the devotee and their distinction between material happiness and spiritual happiness is like there's no comparison, and that they're not interested in the demigods, they're not interested in merging, they're not interested in yogic things or like the cities, not interested in wealth and stuff like that. They only care about spiritual happiness.
Then you get something, right? By the grace of the Lord, you're free from these, and you get Bhagavat Prasada. You get the mercy of the Lord. And then, as Drissa was explaining, this receiving the Bhagavat, Bhagavat Prasada, is you're transcendentally enjoying now, right? You're no longer hankering after these material things, and now you're in complete joy or complete bliss. Okay, let's read the last paragraph, please. Yeah. It's really quite amazing, like, in this position, what we're having to wade through, right? So much fearfulness, these things, just so much pressure there. But you can see that this is part of liberation. I'm liberated from these things.
In the service of great devotees. He got the opportunity to serve the devotees, and simply by eating the remnants of their foodstuff and carrying out their orders, he became so elevated that in his next life he became the great personality of Narada. For spiritual achievement, the easiest path is to take the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and to serve him with heart and soul. That is the secret of success, as stated by Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura in his 8 stanzas of prayers of the spiritual master, Yasha Prasad Bhagavad Prasada, received the grace of the Supreme Lord. By serving her devotee husband, Kardama Muni, Devahuti shared in his achievements. Similarly, a sincere disciple, simply by serving a bona fide spiritual master, can achieve all the mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master simultaneously.
So, we're speaking about Kardama Muni and Devahuti, and then Srila Prabhupada starts talking about the relationship between the spiritual master and the disciple, right? We understand that this serving of Vaishnavas there's an understanding of that this relationship of appreciating somebody's level of Krishna consciousness, their appreciating their devotion to the Lord, and by serving them, then we're going to receive the benedictions from the Lord. Yasha Prasadam Bhagavat Prasado. So let's move on. Any thoughts in that last paragraph? Any comments? Yes, Golokananda Prabhu.
being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that was called Mahaprakash Lila. So one time when all the devotees were engaged in bathing him with
Mm.
Ganges water, so there was this Dukhi, who was a maid servant at Srivasa's house. So she was simply engrossed in assisting or serving the devotees in getting the water from the river.
Mm.
So she was just handing them. That was her job. Whole day she kept doing that. And no one noticed her service, but Lord Chaitanya did. And then finally he proclaimed that today onwards you'll be known as Sukhi. So
Mm.
from Dukhi, distress, literally it means, she became Sukhi, happy.
Ukida. Very nice. I remember one time I was in the Boise temple, and I was sweeping the floor, and I could see in myself the desire to be noticed. I was like, man, I wish the temple president would come in right now. And I I felt like it was Krishna's mercy because I could see that desire to be noticed. But then right after, immediately, I had the realization that Krishna sees everything. That Krishna is in my heart. I never have to be worried about being noticed about something. Because if I just do it in the mood of trying to serve Krishna, then he's seeing it, and then it's up to him to give, if he wants to give the mercy and stuff. But if we can just, I'm not saying anyways, just by trying to understand that by doing our service, that Krishna is always, there in that service. He's non-different than that service. There's so much mercy there. There's so much mercy in just being free from having to get, what do I want to say? What's the word I'm looking for? When you get, it's more than just being noticed. It's being recognized. It's a little more than, appreciated. These kinds of things. I can't think of the word I'm just saying, but and those things are nice. We as a Vaishnavas, when we come into the temple and we see somebody sweeping the floor, we should appreciate them, right? We should thank you for your service. Wow, that's really nice and stuff like that. But when we're doing it, we're just simply doing it with the mood of, maybe this will put a smile on Krishna's face, hopefully, but if I'm doing it, how can I do it in a way that might put a smile on Krishna's face? So I was thinking about, the ant in the Ramayan who's carrying the rocks, right? Or putting the pebbles into the ocean. Yeah, and Lord Ram sees him and he's just appreciating that service, or his little tiny service just as much as anybody else's. Okay, we don't have much time here, so let's cruise through 1 through 11 because these are really nice translations. I had so many things written down about kind of this relationship, but I think that if we just go through it and kind of get some understanding of Devahuti and Karma Muni's relationship, we can get an understanding of how to serve a Vaishnav. Please, somebody.
Maitreya continued. After the departure of her parent, the chaste woman Devahuti, who could understand the desires of her husband, served him constantly with great love. As Vavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, served her husband.
Why are we mentioning Parvati? Parvati. Why are we mentioning Lord Shiva's wife? Anybody have any guesses or clues why life, or whether it's in a situation where we look like beggars? Because what we should be looking for in a partner or looking for in a relationship is how can we serve Krishna together? And Lord Shiva, being the topmost devotee, is understood that they were serving Krishna together, that was the most. And so Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that when you're looking for a significant other, when you're looking for a spouse, it should be on the basis of their devotional service, their quality of Krishna.
Love and with sweet words.
3.
Working sanely and diligently, she pleased her very powerful husband, giving up.
Who was fully devoted to her husband, looked upon him as greater than Providence. Thus she expected great blessings from him. Having served him for a long time, she grew weak and emaciated due to her religious observances. Seeing her condition, Cardama, the foremost of celestial sages, was overcome with compassion and spoke to her in a voice choked with great love.
Kardama Muni said, O respectful daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, today I am very much pleased with you for your great devotion and most excellent loving service. Since the body is so dear to embodied beings, I am astonished that you have neglected your own body to use in my behalf.
Wow.
7. Kardama Muni continued, I have achieved the blessings of the Lord in discharging my own religious life of austerity, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you are engaged in my service. Now just look at them. I am giving you the transcendental vision to see how nice they are.
Kardama Muni continued, what is the use of enjoyments other than the Lord's grace? All material achievements are subject to annihilation simply by a movement of an eyebrow of the Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By your principles of devotion to your husband, you have achieved and can enjoy transcendental gifts very rarely obtained by the persons proud of aristocracy and material possessions.
Let's keep going to 11.
Upon hearing the speaking of her husband, who excelled in knowledge of all kinds of transcendental science, innocent Devahuti was very satisfied. Her smiling face shining with a slightly bashful glance, she spoke in a choked voice because of great humility and love.
Sri Devahuti said, My dear husband, O best of Brahmanas, I know that you have achieved perfection and are the master of all the infallible mystic powers, because you are under the protection of Yoga Maya, the transcendental nature. But you once made a promise that our bodily union should now fulfill, since our children are a great quality for a chaste woman who has a glorious husband.
Devahuti continued, My dear Lord, I am struck by excited emotion for you. Therefore, kindly make what arrangements must be made according to the scriptures, so that my skinny body emaciated throughout unsatisfied passion may be rendered fit for you. Also, my Lord, please think of a suitable house for this purpose.
So remember, our topic was the service of one Vaishnava to another. So when you read these 11 verses, what stuck out to you about this relationship and how they were serving each other? Trista.
I was thinking, we also see in Srila Prabhupada's time that devotees, they'd give up all bodily concerns for Srila Prabhupada, just like Devahuti would.
Yeah, they were so focused, so much enamored in their service that they even forgetting their own, their own bodily needs. Anybody else? Anything is I was thinking, Devahuti's no ordinary person. When you read this, it's like, wow, she's has such a nice service attitude. She's serving her husband so nicely that she's becoming like, skinny from it. Maybe disregarding her bodily needs, as elevated as Kardama Muni, as a great sage. She's a very great sage. And so her glories in serving her husband is she's just so faithful. She's so determined to be of service to her husband. And through that service, we heard in the first, when we were talking about 7, about the graces of the Lord. And she becomes very happy at the end, towards 10 and 11, these last couple verses. Why is she so happy? Why is she smiling? Why is she in joy? You guys are being a tough crowd today. Or maybe, you know what? I shouldn't say that. I apologize. Maybe my questions should be a little bit better. I apologize. Why it mentions in, I think it's 10 or 11, she says she smiles. Why is she smiling?
I believe Kardamamuni was saying that he was pleased with her.
Yes, he's pleased. And knowing you've pleased the spiritual master or the Vaishnav, you're going to get an ultimate gift. What is that gift? In what form, though? Very good. In what form? But what are we looking for as devotees? As devotees, we're doing this same thing and we get more of it, and that's the ultimate gift. Yes, she served her husband nicely, and she's smiling because she's going to get more service. And what's that service that she's going to get? The ultimate service for the female, usually, I'm not, quite often. What is that? Raising a child. She's like, I pleased my husband. I've served without any motivation but to make him happy, and now I'm going to get more service. And so he's very happy. She's going to get the service to have a child and then be able to serve in that capacity. And it's mentioned by Srila Prabhupada in the purport that because of the greatness of Kardamamuni, that Devahuti can expect a great child. And they are Vaishnavas, so they're going to have children in the proper way, right? That we've talked about a couple weeks ago or so on how to have children properly. So the topic today was serving the Vaishnav and the benefits of serving a Vaishnav, in particular with the hints of the wife and the husband, right? So any questions or reflections or thoughts from the devotees? I'm going to get a squirt gun, right, and just start squirting people. Wake up. How do we? Okay, I'll throw out a softball. In a great part of this alliteration of the story is that the husband and the wife, there's this relationship of spiritual master and disciple. It's there. So we're in the Western world, and we have so many different, situations and different cultures and stuff like that. So how do you think it pertains to devotees who might not be, or how is it practical in our lives? What are we doing to please the Supreme Person? How do we look our maybe as a husband, a potential husband, or a potential wife, or what are the thoughts? What are your thoughts on how this is practical in our lives? Is that question clear? Sringarupa, and then Goluka Nanda Prabhu. Sringarupa Prabhu.
I don't know if I'm exactly answering your question, but what was coming up for me as I was thinking about it is obviously it's really talking about the benefits of devotional service and how, like, Narada Muni's And it wasn't even describing that he was actually necessarily serving. It was his mother was serving, and he was the son of a maidservant, and he was eating the mahaprasad of the devotees that his mother was serving. And because of that, you know, he's Narada Muni. And I was just thinking how sometimes, if I'm not intentional, or maybe often, if I'm honest, I'm not aware of how fortunate I am to have the opportunity to do service. And the service can sometimes feel like maybe a burden, or so just, I don't know, I was just kind of reflecting on the mindset, and so I don't know if it really exactly answers your question, but
I can't even remember my question. Your answer was so good. No, what I was thinking is, you hit the nail on the head. Is the devotees always searching for service? How can I serve? How can I serve? How can I serve? And yes, if we're in the mood of a nice attitude of wanting to serve, sometimes Krishna will give us some intelligence to understand what position of service we're at a time, right? And sometimes it's going to be as you're equal in experience, and sometimes you're the devotee with less experience. But the devotee's not sitting here thinking about and contemplating, am I higher than you, or am I equal than you? No, we're just so focused on serving Krishna and what can I do to benefit this person. And then sometimes it's speaking in confidence to discussing it. Hey, I was thinking this. What do you think? What do you think? And so it's not, it's not these material designations that we're giving. It's the attitude of the devotee of devotional service. How in this time can I best serve Krishna? And sometimes these different opportunities are going to arise. But nobody's thinking I'm higher than you, or you're lower this, or I'm this. Yes, we should have some humility and understanding that, when we see it, when we get the chance to serve a devotee who has more experience than us, a senior devotee, then we should have these, nice service attitude of listening. That's one thing I was thinking is Narada Muni's service was he's hearing from the sages. He mentions in there that he heard from them, and that was, anyways, Golukananda Prabhu. We were about 10 minutes late, so I was thinking that we could grab a few minutes here, if it's okay.
Your question was about the relationship between Mother Devati and her husband, Kardama Muni. How does it fit into the modern Westerns, typically talking about setup? So that leads to a lot of controversy I've seen in the past. So I was thinking, instead of, thinking from that particular perspective, we have to focus on, like Srila Prabhupada said, all the controversies are resolved in Krishna consciousness. We got to go back to the basics of Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada, taught us the basic principle, foundational principle, to be the servant of servant. Like Radhana Swami always, he emphasized a lot on this particular aspect. The best leaders can be the best leaders. Rather, just to rephrase, only those can be the best leaders who are the best servants. So same concept. I'm studying a little bit of IT, and there is a concept for Scrum Master. They also talk about the same principle, being the servant leader. So talking about how to fit in that concept here, the relationship between husband and wife, and guru and disciple. So if we have that, if we inculcate that mood of being servant of servant, I'm your servant. Each partner, each spouse thinks like this, then there should not be any issues. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam, free from all designation, material designation, that I'm superior, I'm husband, or I'm superior, I'm wife. Blah blah blah. So
yeah, Srila
go back
Prabhupada
to the basics.
Say that again? Yeah, basics. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, once pride gets put into it, everything's destroyed. Everything becomes muddled. Everything becomes it. So yeah, if there's this pride in that I'm this or that or this, then there's just no there's no question of serving, right? If we keep the humble mindset, the humble attitude that we're serving in whatever capacity Krishna gives us.
One last point. Usually
Yes.
the puffed up souls, they try to apply the half-hand logic, whatever suits. So they their tendency, their conditioning is to accept, that part which suits them, like this particular part. Husband is a guru,
Mm.
but what are the qualifications of? Am I qualified to take that position?
Yes.
If I'm saying I'm a husband and I'm saying I'm a guru, I'm qualified. Am I acting like a guru?
Yeah.
That is the question here.
Yes. Yes.
If I'm not, then it's a half-end logic.
right.
Egg, golden egg,
Yeah.
but I don't want.
Yeah, when we start to give a little understanding of what the position of guru means, it's like, whoa, like let's slow down here. I don't know if anyways. Similarly, if we're going to keep on this same mindset of, we can also see that mothers are being the guru of their children, right? And that humility of like, yes, I'm, here to serve my children in what way? And, children sometimes, I have two children, 18 and 16, and sometimes they're not very appreciative, which is okay. It's part of growing up, right? We stay humble, right? Like, okay, and then sometimes there's some teaching opportunities, right? But your 2 points really are what I think is the essence of this class or this discourse is understanding the humility of I am a servant. What is my service? How best can I do it? What to serve Krishna? Because our goal as devotees isn't I'm this, I'm that. It's to get the heck out of here. Okay, do some devotional service and we do, in a nice attitude, and then, everything becomes the spiritual world. But ultimately, Srila Prabhupada is asking us to go back home, back to Godhead. How can I do that? Serve, serve, serve the Vaishnavas and get the grace of the Lord. Okay, 9 minutes. I'm getting, feeling the anxiety now. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. Please accept my humble obeisances. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Parivyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha, Antikoti Vaishnava Vrindaki jai.